Alrighty, last couple of weeks ago we talked about primary school chairs.
Yep.
And how uncomfortable they are. And that was met with quite an astounding amount of confirmation from the punters. And Joey reckons there's a similar issue with schools and the school norm, especially around school lunches.
Yep. We were talking about how we were comparing the chairs you sit on at school, super uncomfortable, not ergonomic at all.
Yes.
The chairs you sit on at work, the most ergonomic chairs to ever exist.
Often places now pay quite an amount of money to ensure that their employees have ergonomic chairs.
So
to cover themselves from like lawsuits
and stuff.
Yeah.
But kids don't have rights. That's right. We're out here fighting for the kids. And one thing I wanted to bring up was you're in school, right? Especially during summer. It could be a 40-degree day and your first thing you do, you get in, you hook your bag outside. That's where it sits for the entire day.
Yep.
And what have you got in there? Your books and stuff, you bring them in. You got another pouch in the middle.
Yep.
We got your water bottle. That'll come in for class.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, yeah. No,
Yeah.
nah. Oh,
Yeah.
primary school didn't. High school, I brought my water bottle in. In primary school, bottle used to sit in the sun.
Yeah. True. And the other thing that sat in the sun is your old lunch and recess.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's true.
and so you would just get to the point where you'd have to bring something that's like non-perishable. So like tiny teddies can sit out in the sun.
Yeah.
You can't bring the chocolate back ones, obviously.
No.
True.
But so you might have like a chicken sandwich or a chicken wrap or a ham and cheese sandwich, right?
Yeah.
And you don't want it to be sitting out all day. So your mum or dad, they'll pack you the last line of defense, which is just like an ice block.
Yeah.
That's right.
Like can you imagine going to work, right? Your lunch is outside of the building all day.
Yep.
But it's in a little bag next to an ice block. And then they're like, oh, it's a chicken burger. Just eat it.
Yeah,
Like,
chicken
eat
and
it
lettuce
cold.
sandwich.
Yeah.
You just wouldn't do that.
Yeah, the only thing keeping it cold is that frozen block of ice.
Which
There's no
often, by the time you get
refrigeration.
to lunchtime, is become
Yeah,
just
that's-
a hot water bottle.
And also, like, we would get a classic we would have is like a sandwich. Then mum would wrap it in like
paper.
baking paper. I don't know what
okay,
that was, like a
baking
paper
paper,
thing.
Yep.
And then you'd have to also then wrap that in plastic.
Yeah.
Because if you don't, then the paper gets so soggy with the condensation.
The sandwich and paper become one.
So
Yeah.
this whole the school lunches have always made me feel very ill. It's one of the few things. I'm a very particular individual, but the school lunches are something that I've been particular from my first ever memory. So even in like, we all went to the same primary school.
Yep.
There were rules that were added to the school after my year group went through because I didn't like certain things about how lunches went.
Yeah,
right?
one disgusting thing that we used to do in pre-primary was for recess, everyone would bring a bit of fruit cut up or whatever.
Yep.
It would be put into a plate and then you and like a group of 4 other kids would then share that food.
Yeah.
But people would send in, and firstly, like a lot of fruit, they had to cut it in the morning because obviously the teacher can't cut up all this fruit.
Yeah.
But a lot of fruit is like once you cut it,
Goes off.
the clock is ticking for that to be good to eat or not good to eat.
So I'll go one step further. When I was at the same primary school,
Yeah.
in pre-primary,
Yep.
not only would it was just bring a snack, could be anything, right? And then they would pop it all on a plate for you, a massive plate.
Charcuterie board.
Essentially, yeah. But you've got oranges touching Cocoa Pops, touching
like
muesli
rice
bars,
kernels.
touching so you got wet food touching dry food. Some of it's sweet, some of it's sour, some of it's expired, some of it's stale. No one gives a fuck.
There's
They're
a bit of
5.
salmon.
just push it out. So like
Yeah.
some of the stuff, and it used to make me feel sick. I still can't really eat. I separate a lot of my foods, and I've done it from a very young age. But it's because I have eaten like a piece of Nutri-Grain that tasted far too much like an orange.
Yeah.
And I went, this is gross.
Yeah, the worst for me was when the orange juice leapt onto the banana.
It happened all the time.
Oh, and you got like orange
But
tasting
at least
banana.
that's fruit with fruit. Some chick was bringing in sandwiches that were then touching the fruit. Like imagine dunking your ham and cheese sandwich in orange juice and then putting that in your mouth.
No,
you
yeah.
wouldn't do that as a human being. But when you're 5, it's like, why didn't you eat your recess? Oh, because it tasted like shit.
Another thing with that, like the group dining, like when you're kids, all that does is like the kids that are loud and assertive and bullies. That's right. I went there. Like they would obviously get all the good stuff, and like the nice, quiet kids would be like, fuck.
I've got the banana soaked in
another
orange
honeydew. Yeah. But yeah, I just feel like I don't understand because like there's like the canteen.
Yeah.
Like, and they have a lot of food at the canteen. They're feeding hundreds of kids, so they must have like a giant fridge.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah, you can't have hundreds of people bringing in their food and putting it in that fridge.
It's got to be a fridge situation. They do it at work.
I reckon every single classroom in primary school and high school should have a fridge for kids to put their lunch in.
I don't mind that.
Yeah. Like every homeroom has a fridge.
Where's the teacher put their food?
Staff room.
Fridge.
Must be nice. They've got probably like 4 fridges in there, beers all lying down in the bottom row. Actually, now that I speak of it, I remember our PE teachers when we were in year 12, we were then allowed into like the shed where they keep all the balls and the nets and the cricket bats and stuff. Yeah, okay. And there was a fridge in there. And then, one day the teacher walked out and we were like, oh, have a cheeky look in the fridge. What's in there? Open it. Case of Coronas in the bottom. Just so naughty from the old PE department. You know that they're just sinking them on Friday Arvo once it hits 3.
Legend status there. I used to never do sandwiches.
What would you eat for lunch?
No, I didn't used to really. I didn't realize it at the time, but I definitely had like an eating disorder as a kid. Sure, I used to do primary school because I didn't know what that meant. Like I just didn't eat, and I was like, that's what he does. He don't eat. Primary school, I don't like food. I don't like sandwiches. I'm on record for saying this. I don't eat. I ate a slice of bread tonight. That'll be the first and probably only slice of bread I'll eat this year.
What about Subway?
That's not. Firstly, it's not bread,
but
secondly, it's a roll.
I
love a roll. I had a roll for lunch. I'll go to the IGA, pick up
circular bread,
pick up a roll, and eat that. I just hate slices of bread, mainly because it's fresh for until they cut it, and usually that's when they hand it to you, and you go, "Fuck, it's a ticking time bomb."
Do you still not like crust?
I don't. Nah.
It's funny that when you're a kid and you're like, Mum would like cut the crust off. It's like that's so much of the slice.
That's majority of the slice. But I just I hate the idea of if I make a sandwich, very rarely does that happen, or a roll. I eat it then and there. I could never pack a sandwich and be like, oh, I'll have this in 4 hours. I just wouldn't do it.
Yeah, it's not good.
And often I think that just largely stems from when I was at school because Mum would make she used to be a legend. She'd give me Vegemite sandwiches initially. And then having one of them every fucking day, I went off them entirely.
Yeah.
And then she started doing fairy bread sandwiches, which was just 2 slabs of white bread with butter and fairy bread. The fairy, what do you call them?
Hundreds
of thousands. Just put them together and then just send me off to school with that. I used to get sick of that. So after this is probably year 1. I just exhausted all of my
sandwich likes.
Yeah, absolutely everything in that category. So I just stopped eating it, and now I just don't like any. If it's not fresh, I don't want it. That's basically where I sit with bread.
I feel like being a parent now would be so much harder because I feel like people are a lot more aware about you shouldn't be eating all this processed foods and stuff.
Yeah,
but it must be hard to come up with a menu for a kid. Even I remember Mum would try something new. And you'd have it and you'd be like, oh, this is the best lunch I've ever had.
Yeah.
And then
4 weeks later.
Yeah, 20 times you've had that in a row. Yeah. Then you're a bit if I eat this again, I might, the school might have a bit of an emergency situation on there.
It's when you're an adult, you rarely have the same lunch 2 days in a row. But when you're a kid in school, every single day you have the same lunch.
Yeah. Well, you used
Not
to
by
have,
choice.
I'll just say that. Kid from my school.
Definitely didn't need to. But yeah,
he used to have a sandwich, right?
Yeah.
I think his mum would pack him 2 sandwiches.
Nice.
But he would want to eat it quicker, so he would.
Are they the same?
They were always pesto, a pesto sandwich.
What's pesto? Like pasta?
No, it's more like a sauce dip kind of thing. It's like pine.
Never heard of this.
Oh,
it's like pine nut.
Where's he from?
Italy.
Right.
All right.
And basically what he would do is
bolognese sandwich.
because he was eating 2 sandwiches. Or maybe he was cutting to 4.
Anyway,
what he would do is he would stack up so he would have 4 fucking sandwiches in a row and kind of squish them and eat them because he'd be like, and then you'd be like, why are you doing it? And he'd bite into it And because he's got so much bread and pesto, he's got to get to it. Like, you can eat it faster. And I'm like, but every bite takes you so long to get through.
And it hurts. It hurts to watch, it hurts to do. Oh my God.
It's like when they used to do at Hungry Jack's.
Oh, we're going double down on Hungry Jack. Are we sponsored this week?
They would do the like, you know, like one Whopper is not enough. It's got to be like a quad Whopper. Okay. They do like a quad cheeseburger, and they just keep how many slices of meat they want in there. And then I remember when I was a kid, I would like see the poster, and I'd be like, how does anyone even fit that in their mouth?
But the better question is, why is anyone trying to fit that in their mouth?